Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dive Into Diet. I'm with the star of the show, Lucas Schmidt. What's going on, man?
Well, I've got apparently sad. Oh, here I am. Thank you. Apparently, I have some sad news for everybody today.
You were so upset that you forgot even to talk into the mic.
I know. I just
you didn't want the podcast.
It's unspeakable. Unspeakable truth. All right. No, it's not that bad. We're talking about alcohol today. So it's not bad news for me. I don't drink. So.
You're like all happy. You're chipper about this.
I'm going to rain on everybody's parade out here. No. Alcohol. So according to, it's not probably going to be that long of an episode. It's terrible. According to the Journal of the American Medical Association and the World Health Organization, they don't think too highly of alcohol.
So could it be like a 30-second episode, alcohol bad?
I can make it shorter. Don't. All right, we'll see you.
I'll
see you later. That was good. No,
you're welcome.
No, I'll go into it a little bit. So it's important to know why.
Yeah.
The World Health Organization, it's actually very dramatic. I looked up their policy. They said no amount is safe. I imagine this deep voice saying that. I don't know why. But let's talk about why it's kind of a newer. You've probably heard this. The little glass of wine every day is good for your heart.
Yep.
The Europeans do it. They're all healthy, aren't they? Not all of them, no. But maybe per capita, yes. But that's probably not for that reason. There's other reasons. There's nutritional reasons, lifestyle reasons, work balance reasons, cultural reasons, and depending on the region. So that's a whole nother, we can talk about that in another podcast, Blue Zone Health and all that business.
Yep.
So let me jump into that since I've already mentioned it, the quote-unquote possible benefit of alcohol. Some research has tried to indicate that it is beneficial to your health because of the mood enhancement, sort of the anti-anxiety effects that maybe you can get. It's because alcohol temporarily inhibits your amygdala. It's a part of your brain, which can calm down anxious feelings. And some might say that translates to better health. Mm-hmm. I guess if I had to make an argument for the health benefits of alcohol, that's the route I would take. Because maybe you're so stressed that that's doing more damage to you than the alcohol might be doing. So it's like you have to pick which one of these is worse.
Right.
And so it's what do they call that? Weighing the cost-benefit analysis. There it is. Sorry, it was on the tip of my tongue. Cost-benefit analysis. Maybe. But we're talking mostly chemically. Like if I measured your body without knowing what's going on up here when you consumed alcohol, nothing we would see would be good. So when you have the alcohol. I'm sorry, that sounded insult. Nothing is good in your body.
It's all bad.
And the primary reason is because of how alcohol is metabolized and what happens. So when you consume alcohol, an enzyme, there's several enzymes, but the primary enzyme, which I wrote down because I didn't want to get it wrong, alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme. It breaks it down into components, but one of the components that is released in this process is called acetaldehyde. And acetaldehyde is incredibly dangerous. It's very toxic. If you were exposed to it externally, like by itself, it would do skin damage. It irritates the mucus linings. It does all kinds of... Internally, it does DNA damage at a cellular level. It's very dangerous.
And alcohol releases that.
That's what it's turned into when you metabolize it.
Okay.
It's one of the steps. It's not the final step, but it's one of the steps. It turns into acetaldehyde, and acetaldehyde causes all kinds of damage internally, and it can permeate your body temporarily wherever it just kind of spin the chamber on where it's going to settle and go. After that point, it's broken down into... Eventually, it reaches the stage of water and carbon dioxide for you to excrete it. Either you breathe out the carbon dioxide, you pee out the water, obviously.
Right.
So that's sort of the oversimplified metabolic process for alcohol.
And that's at any amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but the primary takeaway from the metabolic process, you don't need to remember all of that other than acetaldehyde. It is the poisonous, toxic fumes. It can also penetrate the blood-brain barrier. So that's not good. You don't want acetaldehyde in your brain. doing DNA and mucosa damage and frying things. So, the long and the short is it's not great. I don't really have.
Yeah. There it
You
is,
know,
guys.
and there's and you know, somebody might think, well, what about what's to the wine thing? Why is the Little Ritter red wine, quote unquote, good for you? If I had to play devil's advocate and argue for the benefits of red wine, I guess I would approach it from the standpoint of the antioxidants from the grapes in the wine and the low sugar content. There's not a lot of sugar in red wine. And so you're getting some antioxidants from grapes without the sugar maybe that you don't want to get from grape juice, which you shouldn't drink grape juice, but like grapes eating them. But
Right.
because the fermentation process might break down a lot of that sugar that you'd otherwise be getting. I don't really think that's a great argument, though. Because, again, the alcohol is going to cancel out the antioxidant effect because your body has to compensate for the acetaldehyde. So that's like, let me take antidote and now let me eat some poison. It's like it's sort of a net negative or no positive benefit there.
Well, one thing I'll ask you is, so I think, we all know alcohol isn't great. If I were talking with you and you as a client wanting to improve my health, would you just tell me, hey, you need to stop alcohol point blank? Or
No.
would you say like, hey, let's be realistic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be realistic because I want the person to actually eventually stop drinking it.
Okay.
So if I told you to stop now, tomorrow or whenever we set the deadline for the goal, if you're a social drinker and you drink at least 3 times a week, that's probably really tough. I wouldn't say go cold turkey unless you got a note from your doctor saying you're going to die of liver failure next week,
right?
Or next month, etc. But no, I think you can moderate it, and this isn't a judgment on people who drink alcohol. Most people do.
Right.
Okay. There are probably more people who are adults who every now and then consume alcohol than that don't.
Right.
I don't have a moral qualm with alcoholism, with alcohol, not alcoholism. I do have a problem with that. For your health, it's not good for you. But it's not based on any kind of religious. It's just you're asking me chemically what happens when you consume alcohol. I'm going to tell you what happens chemically when you consume alcohol. But if I were trying to wean somebody, what I might suggest I always like to backpedal towards less extreme versions. So say somebody enjoys, I don't know, hard liquor, super high alcohol content, vodka, things like that, tequila. That's their thing. That's their go-to. I'm like, well, let's first, you want to scale it back to instead of cutting back how many times a week, maybe cut back on the alcohol percentage.
Sure.
Right? Lower the number, dilute it down in a fruit drink, right? If you do 2 shots of tequila in your, I don't know, alcoholic beverages, so,
Right.
Help me here, but 2 shots of tequila in whatever this fruit drink is, do 1 shot of tequila in the fruit drink. Wean it down that way. You're not going to notice it as much. It's not going to be as difficult. I'm interested in adherence. And if
sustainability,
right. If it's too extreme of a change, the adherence you'll fail.
Yeah.
So no, for your sake, continue to drink, and gradually remove it until you want to kind of not notice. That's the ideal. You don't want to notice the change until one day you're just not drinking. That's
I like that. I like that you want to not notice and do things in a way where you just don't notice. Yeah,
I try to trick myself sometimes if I'm trying to make a healthy change. I'm like, no, I didn't do that. No, it's nothing. Like just a little bit. No, but seriously, that's the best way probably to do it. And if you consume a lot of alcohol, suddenly stopping, you might feel sick. You might get some withdrawal, so you don't want that to happen. I do think it's worth scaling back on. I don't think we should be unrealistic.
Sure.
So, and this isn't to say if you have a glass of wine at a wedding or at a birthday party or insert special occasion 3 times a year that you're going to die of, liver cancer or something like that. I don't want to scare people.
Right.
But I will say, so far, the research I've seen does not suggest that there's any nutritional, supplemental health benefit to alcohol consumption regularly. So for stress, there are other things you can do for stress besides drink, like exercise. You can exercise. You can deep breathe for 5 minutes. You can take GABA. You can do all of those at once. So there are other ways to mitigate stress that are better than alcohol. Because that's, like I said, that's the only health benefit I could find was the stress reduction effect. But
in some of the social aspects,
yeah,
like being around friends, and that's
right.
what. But again,
there
you
are
can figure out
that.
You can figure out different ways to do it.
You can play phase 10. You don't have to drink.
Yes.
That might stress some people out though if you get stuck on a phase. Sorry. But that's the sorry, sad, terrible news right in time for Christmas. Merry Christmas. Don't drink.
This was a tough episode. I'll be honest.
I know.
Guys, we know this was a tough one. If you're still with us, thank you. We'll be back.
You're still with us.
We'll be back next week with better news, with more fun stuff. But we're gonna call it a show.
All right.
It's been Dive Into Diet.
Dive in.
Lucas Schmidt. Let's cut down some of the alcohol. I'm saying that to myself. I am a social drinker, so I need to cut that back. But thank you for to put like practicality to it. I think really helps. Here's what's actually happening when you drink.
Yeah. That helps me. So if somebody tells me don't do that, I'm like, well, I don't know why. So
yeah.
Anyway,
this was the why. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll be back next time. Thank you, man. Don't go